Everybody get up, no need to cram now. We got a real jam going down, going down, going down, going down, going down, going down. Welcome to the IntelliJAMS. Here's your chance. Learn at a glance.
What's going on, Alex? What do you want to jam on today?
Okay, so I want to jam on something very specific. So something's kind of been like on my mind for the last week or two, and it's coming from the concept of price testing and people being like, oh yeah, like we do price testing, or I'm going to go do price testing on my own. And I think like one of the underpinning things of it is this concept of like duplicating products in order to facilitate a price test. So I wanted to jam a little bit on this, like, what is it, doing this yourself, and like maybe some of the kind of like gotcha moments of product duplication to do a price test.
Okay, got it. So you're talking about the people who think, hey, I'm going to like get around paying for the full like IntelliGems price testing capabilities, and I'm just going to like roll my own price test by duplicating my products and like sending some traffic to product A and some traffic to product B. Is that how you're thinking about it?
Yeah, maybe not as like malicious as like people are trying to get around something, but like I feel like as a marketer, there's a lot of times where I'm like, yeah, I could just go build that myself, and that without realizing or getting caught in the trap of like, oh, it was actually more work than I thought, and there was a lot of kind of like, I don't know, poop to step in that I didn't realize existed. So like, yeah, using a testing tool or like whatever you already had, and like let's just try to manually create a price test.
Okay, I mean, I guess like maybe if I were to frame this slightly differently, the question you're asking is like, why is price testing so hard?
That's the better question, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I've been living this question for the last 4.5 years. So let's jam on it. Why is price testing so hard, and why can't I just roll it myself?
Hit me.
I think the hardest part is all the places that prices show up on the page. So you might have collection pages or product list pages where like you have lots of different products on those pages and you're showing prices for those products and advertising those prices. You have landing pages. You have like the search, and like as you type in that search, you get some recommendations that pop down. You like hit enter and you go to a search result page, and that may be the same as like layout as your collection pages, or it may be served by Algolia or SearchSpring or something like that. There's the homepage. I mean, there's the upsells in the cart. There are upsells all over the place. So price shows up all over your site. Like I would say, on average, it's like 7 or 10 different types of locations that price can show up, but sometimes it's like way more than that. And so I think that the hardest part is being able to account for everywhere that price shows up and make sure that there's a consistent experience throughout your entire site. So I want to know that if I'm running a price test and I'm testing my product as like $16 versus $19, I don't want someone to see $19 but then see $16 in a different part of the site or in the same session or even when they come back. I want to make sure that they are consistently seeing $19 and they are making their purchasing decision based on that $16 understanding. Anyway, I think I've gone off the deep end a little bit, but maybe I'm all on the right track.
No, I think it's really important. Like price is everywhere. You want to have a consistent experience. I guess like maybe the way to drill in on this is like maybe for someone who's listening to this and like, oh, I wasn't even thinking about like duplicating products to try to attack the same problem. Like, what about doing product duplication? Like obviously you duplicate a product, you can have a price on product A, and then there's the duplicate, and you can have a price on product B, and now I can kind of like put people around there. So I think like tying that into prices everywhere, like why does that become a problem when I have those two separate products?
Yeah, I mean, and hopefully this makes sense, but you know, let's say I'm selling a bar of soap, and I want to test that bar of soap of $16 versus $19. And my price today is $16, and I create a duplicate version of that product, price it at $19, and then I'm just like splitting traffic between the original product page and the duplicate product page. But the problem is that like, what if I have that product merchandised on the homepage? Like already, what are people going to see there? They're going to see this $16 because that's what the like product is merchandised at on the homepage. And like, I like short of duplicating the homepage and short of duplicating then every page, like you might have a like shower collection, and short of duplicating the shower collection where you have the like shower collection A, which contains the original, and shower collection B, which contains the alternate, you're going to show either one, which is the $16, or both of those products. And I don't think either of those would be a good option. And so that's where like showing all the products around the page. There are other issues too, probably more solvable issues around like inventory tracking and warehouse and fulfillment and analytics and things like that. But like, I do think those are solvable. I think the real important piece here is just what is the experience that people who come to my website have?
Yeah, I think there's that was better. That was I shouldn't say better. That was answering what I was getting at. But I think like
I get an A.
Yeah,
Thank you.
The inventory stuff, the analytics stuff, like I agree with you. I think like those are problems, but they are very much solvable problems. I think like one thing that always comes to my mind from previous experience is like the more products you're managing in your catalog, the more potential complexities you introduce as you integrate into different things, and other systems are coming into the site as well. So like I'm thinking like you were talking about the product recommendation spots, like, hey, if I have these 2 products, what happens if my like duplicate product ends up being recommended as like a substitute or a complement for another product? Or hey, like as I'm doing this, like Google Shopping ads is picking up particular prices of like now this duplicate product. And again, like these are solvable things, but like if you want to do a price test on more than a single product, like that catalog of like managing this across all those places just becomes a lot.
Totally. And I think that's construction in my office, but I think that, you know, at 1 product, 2 products, 3 products, that's manageable. When you start talking about like, I want to price test 150 products, like that sounds horrendous. Wouldn't never want to. I mean, I don't know if any of you guys have ever used the like duplicate product flow in Shopify, but it's slow. It like sometimes it fails. Then you end up with like all these draft products that are just called copy of blah, blah, blah. Like, oh my God. I mean, when you put it that way, thinking about duplicating 150 products in Shopify makes me want to put my head in the sand.
Yeah. And then did I adjust my cart upsell? Did I adjust my product recommendations? Did I adjust this and that? And like all of a sudden you've spent, this is what I was talking about. Where like, hey, something that seems simple at the beginning, all of a sudden kind of like escalates or snowballs into something way bigger. So I guess like with all of that said, I think like maybe some people, when they hear about IntelliGems and they're like, oh, those guys are doing price testing, I think some people actually I know this for a fact, is a lot of people come into the conversation just making the assumption that we are duplicating products to do this. So if we're not doing it, what are we doing?
Yeah. Interesting. I mean, I guess that I've spent so much time thinking about, it's funny. So actually, maybe a little bit of history too. When we started IntelliGems, I mean, I knew nothing about Shopify. Drew, my co-founder, also knew nothing about Shopify. I remember we got a customer or potential customer interested. I can say they share their name. I think it's Jinx. It's like a dog food company, and we got introed through a mutual friend, and they were like, "Yeah, like we want to A/B test the prices of our dog food," and we were like, "Amazing! Like we can figure that out." And I was like, "What is Shopify?" And so I'd like figure out like even just like how to like what was a public app versus a private app. I mean, there was like so much basic learning that we had to do. And the most obvious thing that I figured out very early on was like, oh, like, let me just duplicate the product and I can like do it that way. So actually, like for the first 6 months, all of our like 3 price tests when we first started the company in those first 6 months were duplicating products. And it was all by hand and it was very manual. And we were just kind of like figuring out, like, does this have any value? And then we were working with this company, Shinesty, so based here in Colorado, and chatting with the co-founders, and they were very excited about testing the price of boxers. And I explained to them how it works, and they were like, that's not going to work for us. Like, we have like 400 different boxers in every different colorway times 8 SKUs, because it's like sizing. There's just like, we can't possibly do that. And we have so much like logistics and logic and NetSuite and fulfillment. There's just like too much. Like that's a hard pass. And they actually turned us on to some workarounds that we actually implemented for them, and became the core of the business. But basically, I mean, there's two things that are happening. One, we talked about like identifying and updating the prices all around the site. And so that's like really, the key there is using some client-side JavaScript to find every price on the page, infer for which product variant that price is, and then know, okay, this is for product A, and this person is in the test where product A is $75, and updating it. So there's that component. But really, and this has evolved a lot over time, but today we're using a lot of the checkout extensibility features. And so with checkout extensibility, we have the ability to make dynamic adjustments and changes in the cart and at checkout for the pricing. And so there's like very fast, very easy, very secure. And Shopify checkout extensibility has really opened up a lot of the capabilities there. But you know, there's a million also limitations and caveats. And so we have probably 6 different backup bags of tricks in our back pocket for all the different ways and situations that merchants need. So I guess there's not, the short answer is largely a combination of client-side JavaScript and checkout extensibility features and APIs, but there's no one size fits all. Every merchant is a snowflake.
Yeah, and for those that maybe don't know all of the technical terms, essentially what we're saying here is like, we're looking at the front end, we find where the prices are, and then we are sorting people into tests, showing a particular price in the front end there, and then by the time that person gets to the checkout, we're like, oh, they were in said group, therefore change the price at checkout to the price that they were seeing the whole time. So again, this is like avoiding a lot of the conflicts that we were talking about all the way through this, because like, hey, you're not actually changing anything about like the back end of Shopify, you're changing front end experiences and then manipulating at the point of actually checking out.
Exactly. I mean, I think you can, first of all, you said that amazing, Alex. I'm going to start bringing you to my technical onboarding and solutioning calls. But yeah, I think that exactly what you said, which is that we are a layer that sits on top of Shopify. And so like, we're not trying to make Shopify do something that it can't do. We're just sitting as a layer on top of Shopify, dynamically adjusting what people see as the price based on the group that they're sorted into. And those people are cookied so that as they return, they continue to see the same experience. And we make sure that the front end and the checkout experience all sort of line up. And that's what we do sitting on top of Shopify.
So maybe the last point on this is like, as people are listening to this and we're talking about like, hey, there's the IntelliGems way of conducting a price test. There's the product duplication way of doing a price test. I'm sure some people are thinking like, okay, well, yeah, you guys are talking about it's tough to manage, but I'm just doing one product, so I can probably get away with doing duplication. The one thing I want to say there is like, and we've talked about this on previous episodes, is you need to be careful when you're testing your prices on like the totality of the experience. And if you just change one thing, like Adam's talked kind of like at length in a previous episode, and I'll link to it, where just changing a product, like, hey, there's other related SKUs, and I want to make sure that like those prices are changing too, so that like everything is changing in unison. So I'm actually getting data and like learnings that I can apply, instead of being like, oh, I did a price test on this product and like it tanked because I tried to raise my prices here. But what actually happened was now that product just looks expensive compared to the rest of the catalog. So I think like be careful with like, oh, I'm just going to do a duplication. I'm just going to do like one product or two products, because like it's a lot more integrated than it might appear.
Yeah. I mean, episode for another day is what are all the other ways I could sort of step backwards into other forms of price testing. So I think that there's something there. But yeah, I think that what we strongly and firmly believe is that you have to split traffic as they land on the site, and then like make sure you have a consistent experience for the entire like product catalog that you're trying to understand the impacts of a price change for.